Even by the president's standards, it was kind of a wild day here in Washington. And tonight, the specter of the I word is looming over both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue.
There's a danger here. If someday a Democrat becomes president and you have a Republican House, they can impeach him for any reason, or her. Any reason. We can't allow that to happen.
Okay, time for tonight's Power Panel. Fox News contributors Leslie Marshall and Marc Thiessen and Saagar Enjeti, Washington correspondent at The Hill. Welcome to all of you. Great to see you.
Shannon.
Okay,
Hi,
so
Shannon.
I don't know where to start because this is such an interesting day today. Okay, so they were supposed to have this meeting, the Democrats and the president, at the White House about infrastructure. Shortly before that, Speaker had some not so nice things to say about the president. He walked in and said, until you stop this, we're not going to negotiate. Okay, so the Wall Street Journal has an op-ed about him walking out. The headline is "The Impeachment Democrats." They say of him walking out, all of Democratic and media Washington is appalled. Doesn't this president understand that why he's supposed to take a daily beating on his way to impeachment while also giving Democrats some policy victories? Marc, how dare he?
I know. Well, look, I think the Democrats are actually in peril here because they're not listening to the American people. There's a new Harvard-Harris poll that came out just a few weeks ago. 65% of Americans say Congress should not impeach the president. 60% agree with Attorney General Barr that there was no obstruction of justice. 58% agree that, quote, given the Mueller report, we should turn the page on the investigations of President Trump. And 80% said their representatives should be working on infrastructure, health care, and immigration rather than investigating the president. I don't know how you can be more clear. The American people are tired of this. They're tired of impeachment. They're tired of the investigations. They stand with Donald Trump on this issue.
Okay, so is there some part of him, Leslie, that maybe wants them to take a shot at him? Here is what Speaker Pelosi said just a couple of weeks ago.
Trump is goading us to impeach him. That's what he's doing. Every single day, he's just like taunting, because he knows that it would be very divisive in the country.
All right. So, Leslie, based on the poll numbers that Marc cited, do you think the president's sort of challenging them to do this?
I think he is in a bit. And to Marc's numbers, only 15% of Democrats want to impeach the Democrats in Congress right now, which is one of the reasons the Speaker keeps saying, stay the course. It's taking time. It's going through the courts. Stay the courts. We don't want to divide the country further. And in addition, Marc is right. The majority of Americans don't want impeachment. And by the way, neither did they back when Bill Clinton was impeached. And it didn't hurt Bill Clinton. His ratings went up. And who resigned? Newt Gingrich, a Republican. And Republicans lost seats in both the House and the Senate. So the president might be saying, hey, bring it on. I'm going to get big, huge ratings with the I word. And in addition to that, Democrats might actually lose the momentum that they saw in the midterm elections, which is why I think staying the course is smart, that the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, is leading Democrats to continue right now.
Okay, so the Baltimore Sun, in an op-ed, is warning the Democrats, it sounds like, of the same thing. It says, as soon as you open an impeachment and the president isn't removed, because the Senate's not going to do it no matter what happens in the House, the president will go on rally after rally saying that Congress found me innocent. Saagar?
Well, what's baffling is that Speaker Pelosi has been trying to get her caucus in line, saying we can't impeach, we can't impeach, we can't impeach. But as you're alluding to, she accused the president of a cover-up just hours before walking in to a supposed infrastructure meeting with him. So she's going to have a much more difficult time telling her caucus we have to focus on policy, while the president just ruled out policy, because the way the White House looks at this is if they turn over documents, they're going to get impeached. They didn't turn over documents, and now they're going to get impeached. The same end result is what's going to be happening here. Mm-hmm. And so they look at this as, if this is the fight that they want to have, then let's have that fight.
Well, and Marc, a number of top Democrats, I think the top Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, is one of the most recent ones to say this. Like, we can, walk and chew gum at the same time. But the president says, no, it's either investigations or infrastructure. I mean, it's one or the other. Your policy or you're investigating me.
Well, look, they schedule, it's a little bit suspicious when the Speaker of the House schedules a meeting on impeachment right before she's supposed to meet with the president, then walks out, steps up to a microphone and accuses him of a cover-up, and then goes to the White House and said, oh, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya and work together. It doesn't work that way in Washington. It was clearly an effort on the part of the Democrats to blow this up. But I'll tell you something something that's interesting that I think they're also not, that is also a factor here, which is that the American people, while they're sick and tired of the investigations of Donald Trump, they support Attorney General Barr investigating, finding out how this thing happened. Because they again, that same poll, 55% think that there was bias against Trump and the FBI that played a role in the opening of the investigation, and 61% favor appointing a special counsel to investigate it. The American people just spent 2 years, $30 million of their hard-earned tax dollars were wasted chasing a Russia collusion conspiracy theory that turned out not to be true. That's what we should be investigating. We should find out how this happened, and Bill Barr is going to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, and Leslie, I think it was a Fox News poll that we had out last week that 58% of the people, and this is, across all parties or non-party or whatever, thought that there was a good chance, or at least some likelihood, that federal agencies had broken the law to go after the president. What do Democrats do with that?
I'm in favor of full transparency, and that means have the investigations. Congress has a constitutional responsibility to have congressional oversight over the executive branch, so they need to have their investigations, and they can walk and chew gum at the same time, which is why the Speaker says we need to push the agenda that we were elected with a tsunami of 40 seats in the House to do. But on the flip side of that, I also think it's important that we find out from the beginning until today that the American people know everything, put everything out there, and let the American people decide. I am, like I said, in favor of full transparency, even though these investigations, by the way, whether they're into the FBI, whether they're into Hillary Clinton's emails, or quite frankly, or whether they're into how much Russia interfered in our elections, that is not going to help or hurt Democrats or Republicans. It is not even a top 10 issue for voters out there, left or right.
Although, Saagar, we know that measuring the intensity of people does make a difference, because turnout's everything in these kinds of elections like next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Marc ultimately is getting it. And what Leslie is as well, is that people look at this, they see dysfunction, and that is not at all what they want to look at. What is the top of all of these voters in both primaries? It's health care in the Democrats, it's immigration for Republican voters going into this election. That is what overshadows absolutely everything else, and a lot of this is just a sad side game.
All right, we're going to keep covering it, though, because who the heck knows what's going to happen tomorrow. I know. Saagar and Marc and Leslie, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.